Hello everyone, welcome to Accounting 312. In this video, we will talk about Chapter 14, Cost Allocation, Customer Profitability Analysis, and Sales Variance Analysis. So basically, there are two parts. I would say the first one talking about customer profitability, and then second one talking about the variance that you learned in your cost accounting. So this video, I want to make it a little bit different because this chapter kind of is consistent. My handout is very consistent with the textbook. So instead of reading the handout again, I will post my note, kind of like showing you which part is important. But instead of doing that, I would rather to use the textbook and then highlight the parts that in the textbook. Because some of you told me that you feel a little bit struggled with the concepts or kind of the thing. I think that's a good suggestion. And then let's go to use the textbook. We go through each page. I tell you which part is important, so you can focus more. I would say Chapter 14 is not really hard to understand. The first part we talk about customer profitability. The general idea is we want to know which professor gives us the highest profit, so we can focus on that customer. And then for customers that doesn't generate that much high profit, we don't want to waste too much resource on that person. Like we still take care of him or her, but we don't want to waste too much resource on him or her. Okay, and the only thing is we said we are not doing really how do we allocate the indirect cost to customers. So this is the part we are not go over. Okay, so let's go to the textbook. I made a copy, and then I know maybe you cannot highlight your textbook, but at least you can just know which part is important. Customer profitability analysis. So this is your first one. You want to really know what's the meaning of this definition, right? So this is the analysis that we want to find out the revenue, and then we want to find the cost. And so the purpose, so we want to use this one to make large contribution will get higher attention, and then the loss will not get too much than their revenue. So that's the definition, that's the purpose. And then here is they give you an example, right? We don't need to worry too much, just to know. For now, you have a company with 2 channels. You have a division with 2 channels. And then they give you some information. You have A and B and Gary and Jack here, right? Gary and Jack. And so in order to get the profit, you want to use your revenue first. So it's revenue minus the cost. Revenue, the only thing is we talk about the price discount, right? So look at it, we have the listing price and then we have discount. So that's the actual price. That's the actual money. So you want to look at a little bit about price discount. It's kind of good, it's kind of bad. So good thing is we use it to get a promotion. Bad thing is it kind of shows us that we have the weaker argument ability, and then you kind of little worry that the salesperson may use discount too much, that will hurt the company's interest. And then we also want to find out that whether the discount works, right? Whether the discount works, yes or no. So we want to track the price discount, and we want to know whether the discount works, yes or no, as we said. So we give a look at this one, right? We give the customer Gary the highest discount. My guessing is maybe he's a new customer, or we are trying to get him from the competitor. So we want to really know whether the $150 works, yes or no, whether we got our purpose by discount, yes or no. If our purpose is to let Gary buy more next year, whether he buys more because of a discount, yes or no. So if the discount works, that's okay, right? We lose some money, but it works as long as we get our purpose, that's fine. But if we give him discount, he still didn't do whatever we want him to do, the next year we have to kind of think about the discount. So that's the only thing in the revenue part. The next thing is kind of more important because talking about the cost part, and then you want to know that their cost, we can kind of have 5 levels as the kind of called hierarchy, and you have these 5 levels of costs. So you have the unit level, make sure for each one you know the example, and then batch level, you know, sustaining customer sustaining level, right? Customer sustaining level. And then you also have a channel level, and then you also have the division level. So make sure you know those examples in the textbook, but if you want to really get more example, I don't think it's really hard to understand. Unit level is just the more unit you sell, you have to have more cost, right? Batch level is one batch, like shipping, like your order, because for one batch you may have 5 tables, 2 chairs, something like that. A customer is related with one specific customer, you know, channel is related with the channel, division is like division R and D, that's the division level. So if you want to really know a little bit more, I would suggest you read the customer level costs one more time. You know, these give you the example, and then they also showed you kind of like what level it is. So if you go to the exhibit 14-2, it also showed you kind of at least the order we said that's batch level, you know, customer visiting, that's customer level. I'm not going to read, but you may want to kind of look at this table and look at this paragraph to have a deeper understanding. So in the exam, definitely I cannot make up a thing, right? Because I want to be 100% sure. I don't want to have any confusion to you. So I will either use the example from the textbook directly, or I will pick some from here kind of to test you whether you understand yes or no. So you want to read a little bit more. And then next one, we said talking about this customer, and then we can find out that, no, this one. Okay, so the next one we want to kind of focus is exhibit 14-3. We talk about this in the class. So this is customer profitability analysis, already talking about customer profitable analysis. So we said you have 4 customers, customer A and customer B. They are kind of big customers, right? So you can see their revenue is kind of like 30 million, and then we said customer Gary and the customer Jackie, they are kind of smaller because they are around 4.5 million. So we kind of focus on Gary and Jackie, and then we found out, oh my gosh, you know, they have similar revenue. They have similar revenue. Actually, Gary has more, but what happened is eventually Gary has a loss while Jackie has a profit. So we kind of talk why it happens. We said, first is that the discount is kind of, you know, made the number worse kind of. So if I think if we didn't give the discount 750,000, it can kind of cover the 350,000 loss, right? So kind of a discount, we said we want to watch whether discount works, yes or no. But the main thing is from the costs. We said the cost of goods sold are kind of okay. I'm not going to really read, you know, we talk about this in class. We said you can find out the sales order is time, and then customer visit is time, right? Product handling, this is fine, you know. A regular shipping is almost 3 times. I said look at the rush shipping is almost 7 times. So what I want you to know, the numbers you say, oh, Gary has a loss, Jackie has a profit. That's not good enough. I want to read the things between the lines, right? You see, it's next year, how can we change Gary from loss to profit, right? We can cut down the customer visits, you know, we kind of gather the sales order instead of just too many small order. We want to gather them to like fewer but big numbers. And then we want to have lower shipping. We want to tell him to, you know, order earlier so we don't need to pay the rush shipping cost. I would really suggest you to read the last, especially the last paragraph on page 563. The textbook analyzed the same thing, actually similar things, and then it told you, kind of give you some suggestion. as the manager, what you should do to Gary, as I said, visit him less frequently, you know, gather the small orders to big order, and then don't pay too much shipping, you know, especially the rush shipping or something, and then watch your discount carefully. So those are the things. The textbook also show the same idea. As I keep saying in this chapter, the calculation is not that hard, but I want you to understand, because your role is the manager. You want to find out the problems, the reasons, and then you want to fix it. So if I say, oh, Gary is a bad customer, the main reason is because the revenue is not high enough. And that's definitely wrong, because the revenue actually is higher than Jackie. So you cannot say next year you want to try to sell more. The revenue is not the main reason. The cost, I would say, is the main reason. So, you know, you have to, like, if you got 80, like if you got 75 in your exam, you got C. And then if you lost the most points in the multiple choice, you did well in the problem, but you tell me, oh, I want to work harder on the problem, work harder. But that's not the reason, right? Your reason is the multiple choice. So similarly, as the manager, you have to find out the reason so that you can fix the reason, you can fix the problem. And then also, the next slide, you can also try to say, you don't need really to, but if you have time, you want to try something, my accounting lab, they have this demonstration, you know, kind of a video to show you try it. We are not really focused too much, but if you want to, you can try. And the next one, talking about customer profitability profiles. So basically, it tells you there are different ways to list the customer profitability. You can find out which customer gives you the highest the percentage, right? The highest percentage. We found out that we have 3 customers that give us a loss, and then we can find out that from the cumulative, right? So this 111% gives you the highest, that's the peak, and from the next one it goes down because you start having loss. So similarly for the absolute number, this number is the highest one, and then from that one it goes down because you start having the loss. And then it also said that you can present it in different ways. You can present as the traditional way, kind of using Excel, but you can also put it a fancy way, so you can find out that there is the peak, there is the highest one, right? So after that one, it goes down. We call it like how to say that? A wheel curve, right? A wheel curve. Okay, and then the next part you want to think about on page 567 is that how do we treat our customers? Like, how do we allocate our resources? Because we keep talking about customer. And then we said profitability is the one most important thing, but we also want to think about other things when we allocate the resource, right? Besides the profitability. So we said the likelihood of customer retention. So you read kind of this, and then potential for sales growth, and then long-term profitability, right? We talk about how about for our reference customers, like whether customer can give us more customers, and then whether we can learn from our customer. So that's kind of the thing. You also want to read the paragraph a little bit longer. Maybe read this one, said, oh, you can use this one, and then we watch customer Gary whether to say he will give us long-term profit, yes or no. The next one, we are not really worried too much about the 5-step decision making. You can read it, but that's not really the focus. Next focus, we go to the learning objective 3. We talk about cost hierarchy based operating income statement. And then, where is this one? Okay, so we said that there are 2 ways to think about the higher level of the division level, right? Such as R&D, so something. So you want to read this paragraph a little bit to get the general idea. You know, if I just say, oh, memorize this, memorize that, you don't know the context, you don't know the background. So I would say read the textbook kind of overall once a time, so to get a general idea. So there are two arguments whether we should allocate the division level or even the channel level to customer, allocate division level to channels or something. Someone they say, yeah, we need to allocate. Someone they say we shouldn't allocate. So there are different opinions. But our goal is, we said, if we do not allocate, so like they said, oh, you shouldn't allocate it because there is no cause and effect relation or something. So from here, they talk about if you don't allocate, then what you should do with those costs. What you should do with those costs. We said, instead of doing that, we don't allocate, we just subtract the lump sum amount after aggregating the division, right, after allocating your things. So I would say read the textbook a little bit to get a general idea, but make sure you do the practice. We did the practice in the class, and I will post my notes there. You want to know this table kind of to get a better understanding. So you have this division, you have two channels, right? And then for each channel, you have different customers. So that's the subtotal of the first channel, that's the subtotal of the second channel, and then this is the total of your division. So what this table basically shows you, it tells you, you can find out the customer level operating income, right? You can find out the customer level operating income. We found out, oh, all of our customers are good, kind of. You can also find out the channel level of operating income. You can find out the first channel is a little bit better than the second channel. And then we found out our overall, the division is fine. It has $15 million as operating income. So instead of just looking at this income statement directly, this expanded, we call it cost hierarchy-based operating income, shows you different levels. You can find out your customer, you can find out your channel, you can also find out your division. So that's the main thing that you want to find out. And then I would say use your the practice we did in class, and then how do you find out the channel costs? Like the practice we did, we said that like 35% of the overall cost is with the first channel, like 20% is with the second channel, the left is the division level, the costs. So you just kind of use that one to subtract directly from the channel or from the division. We do not allocate the channel to customers, we don't allocate the division to channels. That's the general idea. So from this one, we can find out, like, if I ask you, hey, customer A is bad because it's a loss, you know that I'm talking about nonsense, right? Customer A gives you the profit. So you get more detailed information from this detailed expanded income statement. Okay, so I would still say read the textbook still a little bit more, and then think about the next one. If you want to allocate, what you should do, right? We are not really doing the numbers, but you want to get some ideas what you want to do. There are 4 criteria to follow. I will say read this part from read learning objective 4 from page 571, and then at least all the way to at least all the way to 573. It's not that much, right? It's not that much. So you said you have to know there are 4 criteria, and we talk about that. The first 2, they are better one, they are used more for your economic decision, and then the last 2, they are not that good, but you want to know what's the meaning of those 2, right? Cause and effect is if someone costs the cost, then we definitely have to allocate that one to the customer or to the division, to the channel, kind of, I say, the division made a special product, design a special product only for customer A. Then the production design cost is $1 million. Then we definitely have to, if you want to allocate, then you have to allocate that $1 million to customer A instead of customer B, because customer A caused the cost, right? And then benefits received, we talk about that, like if the division made an advertisement and then the 2 channels, one got higher, increase the revenue, we assume then the first channel got more benefits. So when we allocate the division advertisement, we want to allocate more to the first channel. who gets more benefits. And fairness of equity, kind of we said that one is when you do business with the government. If both think that's fair, then that's okay. But we said that's more like a personal judgment, and the ability to bear. I personally don't really like it, but the argument is you have two channels, and then the first channel is doing much better than the second channel. When you allocate the cost, you want to allocate more to the first channel because you think the first channel can bear the extra cost. Like I said, like I have to deduct 10 points from the whole class. I deduct 10, I deduct 9 to my A students. I only deduct 1 to my B students because I think A students can bear the 10 point, the 9 points deduction. That's not really right? But if you have no other choice, you have to follow this one. So that's the main thing for the first part of the chapter 14. As I said, we don't really do the calculation of how do we actually allocate. We just know there are 4 criteria, so that's good enough. So I stop here. I would say for the first part of chapter 14, I would suggest you to read, go through the handout, but read the textbook also to get more detailed information. Okay, let me know if you have any question. In the next video, we will talk about the calculation, the second part of sales variance analysis, and then we have more calculation there. I see you in next video. Thank you.